Welcome to All Home Care Matters, the show where we discuss all things home care, with discussions on important age-related matters and topics. Brought to you by Enriched Life Home Care Services, the #1 rated home care provider in Michigan by Top Rated Local.
Hello, and welcome back to All Home Care Matters. If this is your first time visiting us here at the show, we want to say thank you for taking time out to be with us today. We appreciate how valuable everyone's time is, and that's why we try and make each episode here at All Home Care Matters something that will hopefully matter to you. Today, we are honored to welcome a remarkable guest, Derek DeVos, Technical Sergeant, retired United States Air Force, and the founder of the PTSD Incorporated. Welcome, Derek. It is an honor and a privilege to have you on the show.
Hey, Lance. Thank you very much.
Our pleasure. I just want to start right off. I introduced you as a technical sergeant in the United States Air Force. You're now retired. Why don't you share a little bit about your service?
So I was in the Air Force for about 15 years, just over 15 years. Was at about 5 different duty stations and had a couple of deployments. The last one is the one that really hit me hard. Got some PTSD from that, excuse me. And once I got back, finally decided to see the doctors and diagnosed, and that kind of was my ticket, unfortunately, or fortunately, out of the Air Force. But being that as it is, I kind of have taken that and used it as a positive to understand the gaps, understand what's needed, where it's needed, and I've got the passion to do it.
Yeah, well, and I know we've had a few conversations, and the PTSD is very active on social media, as you are. But for those that may not be familiar, I catch myself a lot of times using acronyms and different things. Explain what PTSD is.
Yes, so PTSD, as many people know it, is a post-traumatic stress disorder. However, the reason that I actually call it the PTSD is because it stands for something. The PTSD stands for peer-led, trauma-informed support and direction. Everything means something, and it actually ties to each of our programs that we have. It's a very meaningful thing, and I believe that it also gets us that stigma, that awareness out there, so we don't have to look at it as kind of an evil thing.
Yeah, and when we talked, I said, we're very passionate and motivated to support, our armed servicemen and women's, initiatives and programs and foundations. We had the privilege of being invited exclusively to Washington, D.C. by the Elizabeth Dole Foundation, who, as you know, does remarkable work. And when, you and I met, I said, however we can help, whatever we can do, I want to get you on the show. So kind of walk me through, you get the diagnosis of PTSD, you're a 100% disabled veteran now, and instead of just taking that and going about your life, you're still serving, right? And to me, you're still serving, maybe not in active duty, but you're still serving our military men and women and their families, because, when you have someone in the family that serves, the whole family serves, as everyone likes to say, and that's so true. I know your wife is a tremendous supporter and very active in the PTSD as well. What led you, though, to say, I want to take this diagnosis and turn it and now help support my fellow men and women, in their families?
Yeah, that's an awesome question. This actually started when I was in an inpatient treatment facility down in El Paso. It's under the STAR program that the DoD uses for mental health for the inpatient program. And while I was there, talking with all the vets, hearing stories, understanding each other and not comparing, but it's nice to have people that understand.
Right.
So basically where that went with me was I'm seeing gaps when I get out. Once I got out, I had tons of resources, and I still do. However, there wasn't a central net, little hub, so to speak, to really get those all in one place so they're accessible. Mm-hmm. My wife did a little experiment, and she kind of posted that on Facebook as well, but she wanted just 1 hour, do some Googling, do whatever we had for resources, and see if she could find anything viable, any resources that were close to her, phone numbers, etc. The best that she found was a 319-page document that just had resources that I think she checked 20 or so. They were either click here, it's for volunteers, or click here, this doesn't work. Click here for donations. There wasn't anything tangible that she could actually reach out to use.
Wow.
So, along with my PTSD, which she's had to endure as well, as you said, the family, they really do get involved, and they have to be.
Right.
And luckily, my wife has put up with a lot of stuff. But yes, she's very passionate as well. And that's what led to the second front. Is it really is kind of an invisible program there, because people, they recognize caregivers, but they don't really notice or understand what they're going through.
Right.
And they truly have some hardships.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we go on, because I want to talk to you about the second front, so that's a great segue, Derek. I want to ask you though, we're both men, right? And
Yeah.
maybe we won't tell the women this, but we can be stubborn and hard-headed, but we're also a little prideful, right, at times.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there is that stigma, unfortunately, that a lot of people carry, and whether rightfully so or wrongly. How did you approach, I'll say, sharing publicly and being so open and freely explaining your situation when, I've seen the movies. I'm even thinking of the Bradley Cooper movie, Sniper.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, when you're talking about it, like, that is the first thing that went through my head, where he came back from his 20th tour or whatever it was. And, he's having that PTSD, but he will not, and he couldn't openly acknowledge he had something going on until he finally did. And then it revolutionized his life.
Yeah.
How did that experience, how did you handle that transition from, I'm an active serviceman, I have all these years in, something's going on, you get the diagnosis. Were you just ready, freely, and able to start talking about it, or were you some denial? If you're comfortable with sharing that.
So, PTSD, once I got diagnosed, and the only reason that I actually went in was I was on a special duty tour. I was the dorm superintendent at Seymour Johnson. One of my guys was going through some stuff too, and we were all really close in that office, so we talked a lot. And he had some experiences as well, deployed, and we had some similarities. And I noticed he was doing better. I'm like, hey, what's going on? He's like, I finally did it. I finally went into mental health, went to the clinic, and we sat down. And long story short, yep, it's definitely some pride. It's definitely some shame that you have to put aside. But once you get in there, and that first couple of sessions are just super awkward, because you're just talking about stuff you don't want to really relive. But it kind of brings up thoughts. And for me, being a very logistical person, it just helped me to see things written down when this was happening when I did this was happening when XYZ. So that for me was something that it was like, there's skills to this as well. So once I was an inpatient, I was there for over 60 days. So it was pretty intensive. I also worked on some substance use disorder as well, which unfortunately goes a lot with PTSD as well. But while I was there, I used a lot of the programs and a lot of the handouts that they would give us, and people would just kind of throw them away.
Hmm.
I don't know. I had time, right? I was in there and I was trying to work on myself. So I really wanted to understand what's going on and what other people had seen that works. So I kind of am just grabbing from all of these different programs, your CBT, CPT, all cognitive-based things, which for logical people like me, it's awesome. It spells everything out. So that's kind of the process while I was still in the active duty part of it. That last year or so, I was pretty much in treatment the whole time. I would check in with work, obviously, but once it finally came through that I was 100%, I'm getting separated, retired. Retired September 15th, and then I honestly sat for about a year. It was just not a very good time mentally. There was a lot going on with trying to sell the house down in New Mexico to moving up to North Carolina, just getting all my out processing done for the Air Force. A lot of personal stuff going on. There was just a lot. And I had all these skills, but honestly, I just didn't have the energy, and I was just done for about that year. I still kind of was going back and forth with this program that, I had this stack of papers so high, of just really good information.
Yeah.
I started kind of messing around with AI because I was on social media a lot, just looking at funny memes to cheer me up, whatever. But I kept seeing these things with AI, like, hey, put in this prompt and you'll get an awesome job, or, the glorious things that they can do. But I actually kind of put in some of the programs like, hey, can you take this paper and just give me a quick summary of it? And it did. And it made sense in my head. So I was like, this is excellent. So along with that AI, I kind of built on the program and kind of talked with my wife one day. And I don't think she really knew exactly what I was talking about with, hey, I think I'm going to start just kind of this little group program because I'd want to be a peer specialist basically for a while now.
Okay.
But yes, then the PTSD happened, and that's where we're at now with everything.
How long, Derek, has the PTSD been in existence officially?
So it actually just started this month in September.
Oh,
so it is
I didn't realize that.
Baby.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, you wouldn't know that by how active it is on social media, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the PTSD. So, you took this situation and turned it into an advantage, not only I'm sure for you, but for the countless families and servicemen and women that you're going to have a positive impact on. You mentioned the second front, which speaks directly to caregivers. So let's go a little bit deeper in that and explain what does that mean and why it is so critical.
It is very critical, and the second front is named for a reason as well. So like when we're deployed, first front, second front stays at home, deals with everything. So it's kind of that same approach to it, right? That's what they are. They're at home, they're the stability, they're the medicine giver, they're the cook, they're the dog picker upper outside, everything. And you just don't realize how many little things there are, which I could see on my wife's face quite often. And I just kind of started to realize the little things that I was doing was really affecting her. And that did come from a lot of the cognitive behavioral programs. But yeah, I wanted something that focused on that a lot because when she was a spouse, when I was in the Air Force, she was actually the spouse of the year at Seymour Johnson.
Incredible.
So she's done some work and she knows what she's doing with it. And that's kind of where the idea and the formation started with that program.
That's amazing, Derek. You also run something called The Path. What helps to set this apart from more traditional support programs?
Yes, great question with that. I actually just got back from one of those, which we do every Tuesday. The PATH actually stands for PTSD Anonymous Treatment for Heroes. So it's got kind of the similarities along with your typical AANA. However, it's based for PTSD, specifically veterans with PTSD. And it's peer-to-peer, it's trauma-informed, and all that trauma-informed means is you understand that people have gone through things, you understand that that is because of trauma, and we treat it as it should be, as a symptom or as an illness of something. So we respect that, and
no judgment.
Yes, sir, exactly, no judgment. Yeah. But it's just it's a time where we can talk, we understand each other, we can kind of talk in our stinking lingos that we have, and it's a relief, and you can see it on people's face after they actually can get stuff out in the open. And I think that's the biggest part is once you can admit it, once you can put it either on paper or you can speak it, then it's real. And that's really the basic for it.
Yeah. I want to go now to the hub. You're working to establish something permanent in Statesville called the hub. What would that look like?
So right now I've got a couple of ideas, and what that's going to look like is you walk into it and it's going to be very inviting. You're going to have a greeter, not really like a Walmart person, but you're going to have somebody there that also is, struggling with mental health, be it PTSD or whatever the case is. But they're going to know what to do. And by what to do is with paperwork. If you've got questions about your health care, For example, if you're a reserve and you were on active duty orders and you're still not getting your VA benefits, that's something that we could walk through with them. So it's going to be a catch-all for all of our resources that we have in the community, as well as regionally and national, like All Home Care Matters, Elizabeth Doe Foundation, things like that for the second front especially. But really, it's also going to be, it's a safe area, I'll call it. And we're going to have a little one-on-one station in the back where if they wanted to talk, we could have somebody in there that they understand it's a non-clinical type of setting, but if they are just having kind of a mini crisis and they want to talk about something, we could pop in there really quick. And yeah, that's going to be kind of our main foundation.
That's incredible. Now, will all these people working or volunteering at the hub, will they all have been a service person at some point, or are you going to receive, civilians to help as well?
It's going to be a mix of everything,
Okay.
for sure. I really like to have the community in there as well. That just kind of helps the awareness, and that stigma it just goes away a little bit, gets chipped. And they give a different perspective as well, and that helps us to see kind of how we can help the community as well. So it's really a good cycle.
Yeah, that's remarkable. How yeah, I know it's a baby, so I'm not expecting anything, phenomenal, but you said you just came from a PATH meeting. How many people are currently involved with the PTSD right now that you're supporting or helping?
So currently right now, I've got a group of about 6 of us.
Hey, that's great.
It is, and it only started with one of us, so it's grown, and we have good talks in there, and they bring up questions as well for community partners. It's really just, how do I say it? It's a good resource for them that they feel comfortable talking. Since I'm a vet as well, I think that helps to also us realize each other and that culture that we're in. But yeah, the hub is going to be awesome.
No, it sounds awesome now. The last question I wanted to talk to you about, because I think this is really cool. And when we were at the Elizabeth Dole convening, they had a lot of canines and, animals there to help support, servicemen and women with, medical needs or, as almost like a therapy, right? And you have the Tails, and animals are a part of this story too. Tell us about your Tails program.
Yes, this is a fun one. I am getting to know our community partners. So the Iredell County Animal Shelter is our local one here. I've met with them, and we're going to do some outreach stuff with them. They actually do have another company, Highline Canine. They are service dog trainers, so they're certified to actually do the service as well as emotional if you just want the emotional dog. But the vision for this, it comes from me. It comes from Zia, as her name, is my service dog. Went through training with her at a place here in Lexington, North Carolina, and it was just combat vets, and it was just a really awesome time. It was about a 6 to 8 month program where we met, so it's pretty intensive. A lot of skills that you learn. You start to actually learn how what you're doing reflects onto the dog, so it's kind of a conscious way to see, like, oh, I'm kind of getting worked up a little bit, so I need to, look inside what's going on. So along with that is kind of where the Brave Tails comes from. And what we're going to do is take our shelter dogs and find ones that would be appropriate for an emotional or a service dog, have a veteran come, do the same type of training, and ultimately they're going to have, if they want the emotional support, it'll be a quicker turnaround. But if they want the full certified service dog, we'll do that as well. But it's amazing the difference that you see with them. Just having the companionship when you're out, if you're very stressed out, they give you kind of a little bubble. It helps you, like I said, when you're starting to kind of get worked up a little bit, they sense everything and they know. And if it's time to go and they are like, hey, we got to go, it's time to go. So it's a resource that's out there that a lot of people don't really think about.
Right. Absolutely. In closing, Derek, again, I just want to say thank you to your service and, all of the men and women and their families. But there might be somebody watching this today, tomorrow, years from now, and maybe it's a spouse thinking, my wife or my husband is going through this, or maybe it is the serviceman or servicewoman who's thinking, maybe I do have PTSD, but I'm going to feel ashamed, like you said, the guilt and all that comes with it if I actually, go and confirm it. What advice would you give to somebody watching this right now if they have those questions and they're not really comfortable or sure on how to proceed with getting that support and help that they may need or that their loved one may need? What advice would you give them for that?
First off, I would say just keep going. They're already in the right direction. If you know it and you can admit that, hey, there's something going on that I don't really know what it is, but it ain't right, that's it. That's your first step. After that, you just want to kind of slowly and safely get it out there. If maybe it's on paper, I like that just because it's something that if you don't like it, throw it away. Rip it up, throw it away. Once you get kind of past that and you can speak about it, maybe you've talked with a friend that has it or has gone through similar experiences, your spouse, trusted friend, anything like that, family members, then is the big step, is the calling for help. And that is one thing that I do want to focus on in my program too, is kind of what to expect with it. Expect awkward. Yeah. Expect the questions to be very direct and very personal. But that's okay. It's your story, and that's all that they're trying to do, is just to get your story so they can help you figure out where the bumps are.
Yeah.
But really that first step, honestly, is really just telling yourself, like, yes, there's something that isn't right going on.
Yeah, absolutely. Great advice. And finally, and we'll have all this information in the show notes as well, but for people that want to learn more about the PTSD, where would you like for them to go? And we'll put it up on the screen.
Oh, definitely. Check out our Facebook at the PTSD. We also have an Instagram with the PTSD. I do daily as well as weekly updates on there. So check those out and go to our website at www.theptsd.info. And that will have our donation information, that will have our volunteer information, as well as information about each program.
And what about for an email? If somebody wants to email you guys, is that okay?
Yep, absolutely. That one's going to be contact@theptsd.info, and that'll come straight to us, and we're very quick with responses for those.
Perfect. Well, Derek DeVos, changing the world for the better. Thank you so much.
Fingers crossed.
I don't doubt it at all. Thank you so much for everything you're doing and for the work that you're doing to support these men and women that have served our country and their families.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, Lance, and I really appreciate the help that you and All Home Care Matters does.
Our pleasure. Have a great day.
Thank you, you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us today here at All Home Care Matters. All Home Care Matters is here to help families as they navigate these long-term care issues. We invite you to visit us at allhomecarematters.com, where there's a private, secure, fillable form where you can give feedback, show ideas, or ask questions. Every form is read and responded to. And remember, you can listen to the show on any of your favorite podcast streaming platforms or watch the show on our official YouTube channel. Just make sure that you hit that subscribe button so that you never miss an episode. We'd also like to say thank you again to Derek DeVos for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you again here at All Home Care Matters.
Thank you for joining us today. We look forward to you joining us again on another episode of All Home Care Matters. To learn more about the show and to connect with us, visit us at allhomecarematters.com.